Today we're going to talk about how a young man was murdered right outside of Washington, D.C., and it will left you asking, how is this case not solved yet? On today's episode of Crime Dub, we're going to go back to January of 2020. So this is a relatively recent case. From the point of filming, this is a little over 5 years ago. Scot Ratigan as their subject here. Scot Ratigan was a 24-year-old young man who graduated from Radford University, who was working as an account executive in the Washington, D.C. area. He had a pretty good job. He was living with his older sister. The date of the murder was January 17, 2020. This was the Friday before Martin Luther King holiday, and it's believed Scot took that Friday off so he could have a 4-day weekend. Around 5:30, Arlington police, Arlington County is the county right next to D.C. Arlington police were called to Scot Ratigan's apartment complex because a neighbor reported a odor of bleach. And the police showed up. They found Scot unresponsive, and he was then soon pronounced deceased with upper body trauma. If you're looking at the area around this murder site, it's a very busy urban area, high-rise apartment buildings all over the place, lots of foot traffic. And the thing that's really bizarre with this case is how is there no eyewitness? How is there there's not really any reports of anyone hearing any kind of argument, shouting, a fight. How did no one see what was going on? The reason that the murder, there's not any kind of lobby footage of who went in and out of the apartment building is the cameras were down and not working that day. It appears that all or most of the apartment complex's security cameras were not working. So that's a huge problem in this case. Around a year later, in January of 2021, Arlington police released surveillance footage of a person of interest that it appears that these images were found in security cameras around the apartment complex. And Arlington County Police says the person of interest is between 5'6" and 5'8" and weighs 150 to 175 pounds. And what is distinctive in this video is he's dressed in all black and he's got a face mask on. COVID wasn't really a major concern in the U.S. until early March. Pretty unusual to see someone in a face mask on January 17th. They weren't that common. On the backpack, the labels are like blacked out. It appears this person did not want to be identified on camera. And one thing, Scot was a bigger guy. He was at least around 6 feet tall. This person was a smaller guy, so typically you would think Scot would be able to handle himself in a fight. Scot would generally not be a target. Someone similar to Scot would generally not be a type for a murder. And this murder happened in broad daylight. How did no one see or hear anything? And it appears this case has gone completely cold. This case would be a really good case for a show like on Investigation Discovery, Unsolved Mysteries, because it's just one of those, how did no one not see anything? And Scot was a college graduate. He was local to the D.C. area. He went to high school in the D.C. area. He went to college in Radford, which was in Southern Virginia, but then he moved back to the D.C. area. It appeared he came from an upper middle class family. He seemed to have a good job. He's a young professional living in this very kind of rich area, and you just don't see those type of people getting murdered. Also appears he was fairly well liked, even in high school. Even his high school classmates say, even though he was one of the more popular people, he appeared to be well liked by everyone, and he was just an overall good dude. And this is just kind of a case where it doesn't appear he has any kind of enemies, anything like that. He's a well-liked guy, successful guy, young guy, college graduate, and then he's one day brutally murdered in the middle of a high-rise apartment complex in an urban area. And 5 years later, nobody knows anything, it appears. And the thing with this case is that's really it. There's not a lot of other information regarding this case. It appears it's gone stone cold. And hopefully this video helps bring awareness to the case. If you want to hear more true crime content, subscribe to Crimeda today.